Hush. A dead viewer is commenting on my live stream. The username commenting on my stream belongs to a neighbor who died 3 years ago. I run a small unremarkable live stream. Mostly late night chats. A bit of gaming, nothing with a large audience. Maybe 40 or 50 regulars who show up often enough that I recognize their usernames. Often enough that I recognize a face at a coffee shop. You visit every day. I mention this because what happened wasn't lost in some flood of anonymous chat noise. I noticed it immediately because I know my regulars, and this wasn't one of them. The username was Marlene. G. And it appeared in my chat on an otherwise ordinary Thursday stream, posting a single comment. You should turn your desk lamp off. It's reflecting on your glasses. The kind of small, oddly specific... The kind of... Except I didn't recognize the account at all. And something about the phrasing, the exact cadence of it, tugged at a memory I couldn't immediately place. I placed it about 10 minutes later, midstream, in the middle of a sentence, and had to stop talking for a second. Marlene was my neighbor. Cancer. A slow decline the whole street had watched happen. She used to say almost exactly that kind of thing to me, unprompted, small practical observations delivered with real warmth. She'd been dead for 3 years. No. I told myself, that first night, it was obviously a coincidence. A stranger's username that happened to resemble a nickname. A comment style that felt familiar. Because I was tired and streaming late. And my brain was doing the thing brains do at 1 a.m. Finding patterns in noise. I didn't say anything on stream. I finished the broadcast and mostly forgot about it until the account commented again 4 days later. This time, it wasn't a passing observation. It responded directly to something I'd said about struggling to sleep. With, "You always did run yourself too hard. Even back then." The phrase, "back then," sat wrong with me in a way I couldn't fully articulate live on air. I clicked into the account's profile between segments. IV. No profile picture. No bio. No other visible activity anywhere. A completely blank account, created, according to the platform's account age display, only 6 weeks prior. Which meant it wasn't an old dormant account of Marlene somehow still active. It was new. Someone had created it recently. Specifically, it seemed, to say things that sounded like her. I did what felt like the obvious next step, and looked up Marlene's actual old accounts, the ones I remembered her using when she was alive. On other platforms we'd both used casually, as neighbors do. A community forum, an old messaging app. Most were untouched. Exactly as inactive as you'd expect 3 years after someone's death, still showing her real name, her real old profile photo. Nothing changed. I found one exception. Her account on a platform I didn't remember her using much. One I only vaguely recalled her mentioning once in passing. Had logged in. Actually logged in. An active session. Not a bot crawler or an automated cleanup. 11 days before. Marlene first appeared in my chat. I sat with that for a long time before deciding what it might mean. The two explanations I could construct both bothered me for different reasons. Either someone had gained access to her old account and, disturbingly, was choosing to use it, or something about the account itself had reactivated on its own, which felt like the kind of explanation I didn't actually want to be true, because the owl had... Alternative one. The human one felt somehow worse. I mentioned it carefully to her husband, whom I still saw occasionally around the neighborhood, framing it gently as a strange coincidence rather than a full unsettling shape of what I actually suspect. He went quiet the way people do when a wound they thought had closed gets touched unexpectedly, and told me something I hadn't known. In the year after she passed, someone had gotten into several of her old accounts, and he'd spent months dealing with page password resets and account recovery requests, assuming at the time it was random opportunistic hacking, the kind that happens to dormant accounts with weak old passwords. Nothing personal. He asked carefully what exactly the messages I'd received had said. When I told him, he went very still and admitted that the phrasing, the specific rhythm of it, he always did. The small, unprompted observations sounded uncomfortably, precisely like her. He said one more thing before I left that stayed with me longer than anything else the conversation, that in the months before she'd gotten sick enough to stop working, she'd mentioned, almost as a passing joke, a coworker who'd taken an unusual assessment. Idly too attentive interest in her. Someone who'd started commenting on small things about her routines with a familiarity that had made her uncomfortable enough to bring it up at dinner more than once. He hadn't thought about it in years. He didn't have a name. The account commented 3 more times over the following month, always late at night, always during my stream, always with the same unsettling specificity, small true things about my routines that a long-time viewer might plausibly know. The warmth that... The more I sat with it, felt less like an impression of Marlene, and more like someone who had genuinely known her closely for a long time, using her voice deliberately. Do you know exactly who you're talking to? I banned the account after the 4th comment. A new one appeared within a week. Different username. Same phrasing patterns. Same eerie specificity about details of my life it shouldn't have had access to. I banned that one too. A third followed. I want to be honest about the moment everything shifted for me, because it wasn't a single dramatic reveal so much as a slow, sinking recalibration. I stopped believing, somewhere around the third account, that I was dealing with anything supernatural. At all. I started believing I was dealing with a person. Someone who had known Marlene well enough to imitate her convincingly, who had access to at least one of her old accounts, and who had, for reasons I still don't understand, decided to direct that at me, specifically at me, on a public live stream where I would notice and recognize her and be unsettled exactly the way I had been. I reported the pattern to the platform's trust and safety team, provided everything I had, and received the kind of vague acknowledgement that suggested action might eventually be taken. Someday, through channels I have no visibility into. I also, on my husband's advice, filed a report with local police, who took the information politely and noted gently that someone imitating a deceased person's speech patterns online doesn't currently describe a crime they have a clear framework for investigating unless it escalates into something more explicitly threatening. It hasn't escalated, not overtly, in the 2 months since. New accounts still occasionally slip through my ban filters, always at night, always with that same unsettling warmth, though less frequently now, as though whoever's behind it has grown more cautious, or simply less. I don't stream late at night anymore if I can help it. I've told myself this is a scheduling decision, nothing more. I know that isn't fully true. I think, more than anything, I've stopped wanting to find out whether the next account that slips through will still be pretending to be Marlene, or whether, having apparently gotten what it wanted from that particular performance, it's decided to use its own name instead.